Okay, in 2nd Nephi, in verse 11, it says, "For it must needs be that there is an opposition in all things. If not so, my firstborn in the wilderness." So Lehi is talking to his son Jacob. "Righteousness could not be brought to pass, neither wickedness, neither holiness nor misery, neither good nor bad. Wherefore all things must be a compound in one. Wherefore if it should be one body, must needs remain as dead, having neither life nor death, nor corruption nor incorruption, happiness nor misery, neither sense nor insensibility. Wherefore must needs have been created for a thing of naught. Wherefore there would have been no purpose in the end of its creation. Wherefore this thing must needs destroy the wisdom of God and his eternal purposes, and also the power and the mercy and the justice of God." So in these verses, here, let's read verse 13 too, because he expounds. "And if you shall say that there is no law, you shall also say that there is no sin. If you say that there is no sin, you shall also say there is no righteousness. And if there be no righteousness, there be no happiness. And if there be no righteousness nor happiness, there be no punishment nor misery. And if these things are not, there is no God. And if there is no God, we are not, neither the earth, for there could have been no creation of things, neither to act, nor to be acted upon, wherefore all things must have vanished away." So what Lehi is saying here, with regard to opposition of all things, he's saying that that you need to have the contrasting concepts in order for a concept to actually work. So in order for things like goodness and happiness and righteousness to make sense, you need to have the contrasting concepts of bad and sad and wicked. If you conducted a thought experiment where you imagine a world without sadness or pain, then the world also wouldn't have the concepts of happiness or health, because there wouldn't be anything to contrast life with. It would just be life. It would be blah. It would be, it wouldn't be a thing. Like, people might be perpetually suffering, or they might be perpetually in ecstasy, but it would just be what life is like, and they wouldn't think of it as suffering or ecstasy. So, for example, I knew, or at least there's this story of a man who grew up in a third world country, and then he goes and he works and he has and he takes intestinal parasite medication for the first time in his life, and he makes the comment, "I never felt sick before, but now I feel really, really great." The idea being that before he had the contrast of feeling different. It was just life. He didn't feel sick. He never felt bad, even though he had intestinal parasites. His frame of reference, just everything, that was just life. He wasn't suffering. He wasn't sick with the intestinal parasites, because that was just life to him. But when he had the contrast of not having the intestinal parasites, then he realized, oh, this is what health is. And it makes me wonder about the concepts of pain and joy and suffering, whether or not, I guess my suspicion is that my life is 99.9% better. No, I don't want you to give me any gum. That's yucky gum.
No.
My daughter's trying to give me some candy, and I don't want it. Anyways, my life is probably better than 99.9% of the people throughout humanity. I have better health care. All my children survived birth. My wife survived childbirth. I have most of my teeth I can chew. I live in a house, comfortable house. I'm not at war. I feel like my life is 99.9% better than lots of people's lives are throughout history if I compare it. But I think that lots of those people, I don't know if I'm that much happier. But I probably would be a lot happier if I were to contrast it with living a life in medieval England or medieval anywhere, or living a life 100 years ago. yeah, just my frame of reference is just really what I would guess is really, really great. And I don't know, maybe in heaven life is a bazillion times greater, and this life, the suffering that we have in this life, is so that we can all of a sudden understand, oh, heaven is awesome. You know, that there you can't have a heaven if you don't have a hell, if you don't have the pain to contrast it with. Then the idea of ridding the world of pain doesn't make sense. The concept of eternal life, that doesn't sound great to anyone who that wouldn't sound great to someone who hasn't experienced death, or it just wouldn't make sense, you know, like it would just be like, well, yeah, it's just existence. Anyways, it's yeah, I like it.